Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Collaborations with Katy. Today I have a special guest in the house, Stacey Hall. Thank you for being here, Stacey. Just to kick things off, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do to bring transformation into the world via your work?
I'm going to start out with the most important thing in the world to me, which most folks wouldn't expect me to say, is to know that every day I've done something towards fulfilling my purpose and mission. And the way I say it is that I can feel God, you know, the all knowing being smiling at me. So that's what drives me all day long, every day. And what has been given to me over and over again in my life, because anytime I attempt to stray from it, I'm brought back, is to support people who are representing themselves or products from a company in making offers. And I'm saying that in making offers and selling those products, courses, and materials, which makes them a sales professional. I don't feel sales is a dirty word, but I am in the process of cleaning it up. And I have a sales reputation revolution going on. And I do that through my process called the Lighthouse path.
What's awesome for me is I've actually collaborated with you before, and
Mhm.
I've read your book, which I can see in your background, Selling from Your Comfort Zone. I own it with your signature in it, which is very special to me. But what I love about what you teach is really it all comes back to being okay with who we are and selling from a place of authenticity. Before we dive into some of that really juicy, yummy stuff that we got to talk about, at first, because this is a collaborations channel, I want to hear from you. Why do you think collaborations are so important, and what has that done for your own business?
I believe that from the very beginning of being in business, I collaborated. There are all different types of collaborations. And I always said that there can't possibly be any competition because if I'm destined to serve people, then those people are destined to be served by me at a given time. Those people might be destined to be served by someone else at another time, especially if they're the exact same audience. Why would I ask them to have to make an either or choice? Why can't it be up to me when I come across folks who are serving the same audience to say, why don't we look to see how we can make it a both? You can have both. Or we can help you understand when do you use my services or my products and when do you use the other person's products and services. So that's to me the most important is making sure we do not confuse the same audience.
There's such beauty in just coming together because we can reach further. We can expand our impact. We can reach people that we would otherwise not have access to. So partnering together just makes sense. Which brings me to my next question, and that is obviously you are one of the core five that are running the Clients Cashflow CoLab event happening soon. What was it that made you say yes to this opportunity? What was the why for you to say yes and join us?
First off, I respect and have learned myself from it say we are a product of our product, right? Meaning we've actually come together, we've done things together, we've tested each other out. And the different aspects of this collaboration, each of us has our unique strengths. So this is a perfect example of us serving the same people at the same time, but not duplicating what each of us is doing, working together to be able to provide a full and complete training for people who need each and every one of us. And it's just fun. I know who you are, not to make it so serious. It's like we will deliver what we promise. And it's very nice to not be stepping on someone else's toes as we're working together. But the other is, I want everybody to know we like having fun when we get
Mm.
together. That's like, if it isn't fun, why do it? So we want to impart that to everybody who joins us. And so there you go. It's fun.
It's fun. I love that. We've got to live a little. The world is so serious all the time. So why not have a good time while we're here? So I want to get into a little bit of the nitty-gritty around what it is that you do and your zone of genius, because one of the reasons that I wanted to bring this event to fruition is because I know so many people out there are struggling with overwhelming information. They don't know the next right step to take. They're told certain things that don't hold true for them, etc. The list goes on and on and on. But from your perspective, I mean, each person in this is bringing a unique flavor, if you will, into the business world in terms of what we can teach people and what we can help them with. For you, let's start with what is the number one mistake that you see entrepreneurs making online that you are super passionate about and you want to help them solve?
Oh, just one. Okay, I was because there's three. Let me see which one I believe comes first. And I'm going to say it goes back to my fifth book called Selling from Your Comfort Zone. The concept that we're supposed to get out of our comfort zone to be successful. And I'm going to explain why. And it is such a common statement that you might hear some of my collaborators actually use that statement, but what I know what they mean by it is exactly what I mean. It's not that our comfort zone is our lazy zone. That's not what's meant by that. Our comfort zone is actually our zone of power. And I talked about the lighthouse path, which is having people come to us, come straight to the lighthouse. But this is the zone. A lighthouse has a zone.
Mm,
Its light goes out, but the more powerful the light, the more it can serve. So, what we want to do is we want to make sure we're not being burnt out searchlights. That would be the lazy comfort zone. We want to keep expanding our ability to provide enlightenment to the audience that's searching in the dark for answers. Now, we can't do that if we leave our zone. If I go to somebody else's zone, they don't need me there. They're taking care of their zone. But that's what a lot of trainers want people to do is get out of you, no matter how unique I tell you you are and how wonderful you are because you're unique. Now, in order for you to be successful, you have to be like me, right? This is, if you think
yeah.
about what most trainers teach, embrace who you are. But if you want to be successful, be me. That's getting out of our zone. And what I want us to all understand is the more we allow ourselves to be ourselves, to tap into our experiences, to tap into, as you say, our zone of greatness, to tap into what we were brought here to do, and just do more of that. Have confidence that we've been given that, to believe in ourselves that we were brought here to do us. Because me, what I've been brought here to do is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's my zone. I just want to do more of it and do it more confidently and more consistently and more dedicatedly so that my audience says, oh yeah, she's here for the long run, right? A lighthouse is not a pushover. Can't push it over. And you can always count on it being right there. The number one is stop trying to get out of your comfort zone because it creates fear, it creates upset, it creates all sorts of things that are not supportive of us being of support.
I think that I first heard you talk to me about this probably 4 years ago, maybe. I don't even know. It's been a while, but it's one of those things when we talk about the lighthouse, it's just resonated so deeply for me, and it continues to serve me to this day. And immediately, I want to pretend that I'm the person I was 4 years ago and ask a question from someone I'm sure who's listening or watching who has experienced this. But how does someone who perhaps they're more on the introverted side, I know I am, and maybe they're afraid of coming across as pushy, salesy, or sleazy, and they have something really great to offer, but they're scared. First of all, they're introverted, but also their experiences of being sold to many, many times has created this negative feeling around it. So what is your best advice around really working through that and standing and being that light without being apologetic for it or thinking that that light is too bright? I might blind them. I don't know. What is your response for
Oh
that?
no, that's truly, I do feel that there's also people who do feel like if they shine too brightly, they've been told, right? They've been told they're too loud. They've been told they're too big. And so for that, I want to start there. The people who say that are not our audience. It's just
Mm,
that simple. We must remember that anybody who says we're too much or too little, they're not our audience. And somebody watching this right now would say, well, don't we need them? So I'm all about frequency. Those who understand what light is a frequency. Einstein said everything, in case anybody's thinking I'm now gone into the woo-woo world, I'm actually in the scientific world. I'm in quantum physics, and light has a frequency to it. And it moves, as does all energy, and everything is energy. It moves, and that's how you measure it. You measure it in terms of frequency, right? So, what Einstein said is if you want something, you must be at the same frequency. You must be moving. Your energy has to be at the same frequency. Now, we're getting a little beyond what you asked me. I'm going to be talking about this in our collaboration. But I want everyone to understand that if somebody is telling you you're too much or too little, they're at a different frequency. And it
mm,
is not for us to tune them up, it's for us to stand still like a lighthouse. And some days there are no ships that need to come into the harbor, that need to follow the path to that lighthouse. But still, the lighthouse is shining its light and it's still being of service because the ships are like, okay, there's that lighthouse. There's a whole thing about different lights, different shapes. Every lighthouse is uniquely different, but serves the same purpose. And then there's other days when there's ships that, for whatever's going on at sea or whatever the storms are, they're like, all right, I need the nearest harbor possible right now. I've got to get out of this situation. And they come in. And I would suspect that because lighthouses don't have actual human characteristics, that they're not wondering why some days people are responding and why they're not other days. They just show up every day doing the job they
mm,
were told to do. So for us, and you going back to introvert, I love my process because it supports introverts. Because it says, do not go out into the sea. Do not go wading out into the sea and say, do you need a lighthouse today? Do you need a lighthouse today? We stand where we want to stand. So if it's in person, maybe we're at a business networking event where we see the same people every week and that becomes comfortable. Or we do trade shows in person because people come to the table. We don't have to go out to them. Or we choose a place on social media that we enjoy hanging out and we have our spot, right? Our profile page or our business page. And that's where we show the information we have, what people would say valuable content. Valuable content is education, is
mm.
not promotion. Let's be clear about that. Education, not promotion. And somebody, I can just hear it in the energy now. Well, then when do I make an offer? You know what? When you've educated and then you've offered to people that you have more to share with them if they contact you, and you get to know why they're interested, because that's the next step. Find out why they're interested before we just throw the pitch. Okay. Why are you in the harbor? Why are you coming here right now? What is it you want? And if we listen and we are able to provide what it is they're looking for, they will say yes to us. So it's about bringing that, shining the light, which is our valuable content, education, information, not a pitch. They come, they feel close, they want a little more than one to one, which is usually very comfortable for an introvert. If somebody has shown interest and it's one to one, you have the quiet conversation with that person. So maybe you're not talking to thousands of people all at once. Maybe
Mm.
you are going to talk one to one. Or maybe you're going to run ads, which we're going to talk about here in this collaboration, that puts your education out to many more people. And whoever asks for information, those are the people you're going to speak to. And that's my advice. And
Mm.
long-winded, but that's my advice about don't listen to people who say you're too much or too little, and educate, educate, educate
Mm.
instead of promo and pitch.
That's amazing. I love imagery. So I always picture the lighthouse, I picture the ship. So everything you're talking about is it's almost tangible. It makes so much sense. So I hope that any of our listeners can also see that it's the perfect way to illustrate what you're saying. And one last question I want to ask, and this is something that I love because I feel like a lot of the people that I collaborate, we tend to beat to our own drum. We tend to break the rules. We tend to try to find our own way. And maybe that's why I get along with people like you is we go against the grain a little bit. But based on that, what is one common myth or belief that you see out there that you would love to just wipe clean and get rid of altogether? Is there one for entrepreneurs? Something that people are told over and over again, and you're like, hogwash, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's the one I've already talked about, the getting out of your comfort zone. But the other is why I'm very passionate about the sales reputation revolution. And that is, I choose to wipe out and I ask everybody who is in any form of sales that you join me in this. Nurses have the highest reputation score of all careers, highest reputation. Studies prove it. They assess a situation, they provide comfort and care, and in many cases, they apply the solution unless it's really, really serious and that needs a specialty doctor. That's a nurse. And so most people have this beautiful, loving sense of a nurse. Right now, everybody's picturing either a nurse they know or a character of a nurse. Okay. Tell me how a salesperson is not doing the same thing. Assessing a situation, providing education, providing care and love and nurturing. Okay, if we're doing it well, and in most cases, able to provide the solution unless somebody needs really big support, in which case they can go to other experts to collaborate. So, why is it that salespeople have the lowest score of all careers, the lowest reputation score? Because we bought into old fashioned, and it is old fashioned. The pushy reputation comes from more than 100 years ago when the people used to knock on doors and they would push their foot. Like, it's like, where did the word pushy come from? They pushed their foot inside the house. So before they could shut the door, the housewife, because it was always housewives back then, shut the door because they wouldn't want to smash someone's foot in the doorway. We don't need to push in anymore. We can simply educate. We have hashtags that allow people who are searching for certain types of information to find it, right?
Yes.
On social media. And if you're meeting people in person at a networking event, you're already in the door. Okay. If you're at a trade fair, you're already in the door. So let's drop this idea that we have to be pushy. And right now, I'm going to tell you many salespeople, because they believe just by offering education, they're being pushy. That is not the definition of pushy.
Wow. I will say this that selfishly, one of my favorite parts about interviewing people is I learn so much. I've never really thought of it that way because I know I've gotten caught in the fear of being pushy or the fear of being that icky car salesman or whatever you want to call it. But the way you just completely flip that on its head is so powerful because at the end of the day, you and I, the reason we get along so well is we believe much the same thing around number one, it's about human beings and connection and service. And when you put it like that, of course, obviously, we're not going to people's doors and shoving our foot in. We're coming from a place of how can I really help you? And if I can make a big difference, I'm going to educate you on why my service is so important. I'm not going to push you, but I'm going to educate. Like, I don't know. You've just flipped this on its head for me. It's so powerful, and I hope everyone who's listening also is having that light bulb moment because I think that's really powerful. We do need to get away from someone's here to sell me another vacuum cleaner. It's not about that. Thank you for sharing that. I want to just first of all say thank you so much for being willing to do this. And we're going to just wrap it up with a bow with one final question because this is probably my favorite. The reason we're coming together is to offer something of real value and to really make a difference for people, online entrepreneurs specifically. But what is the number one thing you're most excited about in terms of what our participants are going to walk away with from this event?
I know that other people have said the same thing about group trainings. And oftentimes, when I've walked away from a group training, I walk away with 1,000 different strategies I could do, but no way to really understand which one. Here, we've all really been talking together to make sure that there's a strategy and that we each are contributing our piece to that strategy. So there will not be overwhelm, there will not be confusion. This is like taking a college course, if you will, and chapter by chapter, coming in beginner, and then by the end, you walk away and you've got your degree, so to speak, in this particular strategy. So that's what's unique about it.
I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Stacey. We are all coming together to make sure that you don't walk away with yet another wackadoodle of content and things that are just going to sit on your shelf and be forgotten about. We are intentionally designing this to create an experience that you can directly apply throughout the entire process, the journey. So definitely this is why our event is set apart, is we want this to be meaningful for you. That's our number one priority. Stacey, thank you again so much for being here. For those of you listening, watching, be sure to sign up because you just got the tip of the iceberg with Stacey today. I'm telling you, you want to be there to get the full meal deal. So make sure you sign up.
Yeah.
And to everyone else, we'll see you next time. And thanks for watching.